I'd like to call to order the City of Douglasville City Council meeting for tonight. It's our regular voting meeting for June the 4th. We will have our invocation, and the invocation will be done by Pastor Gene Fields of Heritage Baptist Church. And after that, the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by the Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel. Please stand for the invocation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let's pray. Father, we do invite you into this room tonight. And Father, we thank you that you do promise your presence. So Father, we're just thankful that you are amongst us. And Father, that you are wherever we are. And Father, that you are an ever-present, all-powerful, all-knowing God who loves us. And I'm thankful for that love. Father, we're part of that love. Father, is this day you've given us. And Father, we're just so thankful for that. Father, another gift that you give us is being able to be in this community. And we're so thankful that we can come and gather freely. Father, that we can also pray openly and freely and speak your name. Father, we thank you for the gift of your Son, Jesus, that through him we have eternal life. Father, I pray for our mayor. I pray for this city council. Father, I pray for all of the workers in our community. Father, I pray specifically tonight for our first responders. I pray for our chief of police. Father, protect them, watch over them as they watch over us. Father, we love you and just thank you again for this day. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem, for leading us in the pledge. We have Flag Day coming up, so we're excited to honor our flag. And Pastor Fields, thank you again for coming. You always do such an excellent job in the invocation. We appreciate it. I'll go through the announcements and presentations before we start the meeting. I would like to welcome you again to the City of Douglasville's regular City Council meeting tonight. The council will vote on agenda items that were discussed at the last legislative work session last Thursday. Items that we'll be voting on tonight have been discussed previously at the legislative work session. Therefore, unless you have new information to present, you do not need to reintroduce the same material that you presented at the work session. If the business you are here to discuss is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time to discuss under the agenda item that is entitled Comments from Citizens and Delegates. Before we start, I'd just like to do a few protocol issues. I'd ask that you keep your comments and presentations on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this council to make our decisions. We will not accept comments that are considered to be personal attacks on any individual or group of individuals. Only one person speaking at a time. I ask that you would not be disturbing and would not make comments to the audience, that you would address the council members, the chair and council members. Please put your electronic devices, cell phones, iPads, and such in silent mode so they will not be disruptive during the meeting, or turn those off until the meeting is over. This is how the agenda items will be handled. The committee chairperson or vice chair, and in this case we have a couple of council members that are absent, so we'll have committee members will handle and read the agenda item, make his or her motion before we vote. If the applicant has additional information, he or she should present it at that time. Then if there are citizens' comments on points of interest that were not made at the work session, the council will accept those comments. We ask if you have any sheets or documentation that you will turn those in. When you come to the podium, you have 5 minutes. There is a total amount of time for 30 minutes for opposition, 30 minutes for or pros and cons. Each person has 5 minutes to discuss what you would like to say, whether you're for that agenda item or against it. There is a timer, and there's a unique sound. If you go beyond your 5 minutes, it's kind of like a gong that will come on. When you come to the item, to the podium, we ask to discuss your agenda item. We ask that you would give your name and address for the record. Each person has one opportunity to make their comments. There was a form that you should have filled out, and you can hand that form to the city clerk, Ms. Vicki Acker. I believe that is all that we have. So having said all of that, we will move on to the agenda. First item on the agenda, let's see. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I'll open the floor for minutes of the legislative work session of May 17th of 2018 and the regular meeting of May 21st, 2018. I'll open the floor for a motion to accept the minutes, approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the legislative work session of May 17th, 2018, and the regular meeting of May 21st, 2018, as presented.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve the minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, or comments as it relates to the minutes that are presented this evening from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All of those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. The minutes of legislative work session May 17th and regular meeting of May 21st are approved. We'll move on to item 6, the consent agenda. Open the floor for a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any questions, comments, or corrections to the consent agenda from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda is approved. We'll move on to item 7, Public Safety Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
Yes, Madam Mayor, no business at this time, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilman Davis. Community and Economic Development Committee. That's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have one item, 21-18-24, to appoint an individual to serve as the Post 1 member of the Development Authority of the City of Douglasville for a term expiring July 23rd, 2022.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Chelsea Jackson, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. I will pass out a ballot. It has 3 other candidates listed, as well as whether you would like to abstain or not.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you. Still waiting for one? Okay. Okay. Not rushing you, Mr. Adams. I was just wondering.
I will read out the council member who voted for the individual, as well as the individual's name. So we have Councilman Terry Miller voting for Ms. Paula Schauber. We have Councilman Samuel Davis voting for Ms. Kathy Smith Curry. We have Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel voting for Ms. Kathy Smith Curry. We have Mayor Rochelle Robinson voting for Ms. Deborah Donato. We have Councilman Mark Adams abstaining. And we have Councilman Chris Watts voting for Ms. Deborah Donato. So you have 2 votes for Ms. Deborah Donato, 1 for Ms. Paula Schauber, and 2 for Ms. Kathy Smith Curry, and 1 individual abstaining.
So we have a tie.
Yes, please.
Well, what we have is nobody receiving a majority, which is what is required. And under our rules, then I can just make a motion for anyone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So I will make my motion then thusly for item 21-18-24 to appoint Ms. Smith Curry to serve as the Post 1 member of the Development Authority of the City of Douglasville for a term expiring July 23rd, 2022, and that's a form of a motion for approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second to approve item 21-18-24 with the appointee being Kathy Smith Curry to fill Post 1 membership for Development Authority of the City of Douglasville for a term expiring July 23rd, 2022. All of those in favor, are there any other comments or additional conversation as it relates to this item? Thank you, all those council members. And the one to approve item 21-18-24, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. We have one. Did you get it, Ms. City Clerk? Did it come up on the screen? Okay. Thank you. The majority rules. So item 21-18-24, the appointee is Kathy Smith Curry.
No other business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We'll move on to Planning and Development Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have several items tonight under Planning and Development. Item A is a motion to remove from the table item 22-18-46. I make that motion to remove from the table.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second to remove from the table item 21-18-46. Is there any further discussion as it relates to this item? Thank you. All of those in favor of removing this item from the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Item 21-18-46 is removed from the table.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Having removed it from the table, then item B is item 22-18-46, which was tabled May 21st, 2018. Adopt an ordinance to enact section 3.04 of the Appendix A, the zoning code ordinance of the Code of the City of Douglasville to impose restrictions on special land uses in the IH Heavy Industrial District, to amend section 5.06.02 to provide additional standards for considerations of special land use permits, to amend table 2-1 of section 2.05 of said ordinance, to revise permitted and special uses for certain principal uses, and to omit certain uses from that chart, to reword the title for Article 3, Division 2, and to assign section 3.61 to that division, and to enact section 3.53 requiring a distance of 3,000 feet between lots used for quarries and mining. At this time, I would make a motion, or do not plan to take any action on this item, 22-18-46.
Okay, so we don't have any action taken on this item. Any
That
discussion?
requires a second, or?
No, which is no action. Move on to the next item.
Item C, motion to remove from the table item 22-18-48, and make a motion to approve, to remove it from the table.
Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second to remove this item from the table?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved in second to remove from the table item 22-18-48. Any further discussion as relates to this item? All of those in favor of removing item 22-18-48 from the table, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. The ayes have it. Item 22-18-48 is removed from the table.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Item 22-18-40, alternate to item 22-18-46 is item 22-18-48, which was tabled, as we've said, May 21st, 2018. Refer to the zoning board a proposed ordinance to enact section 3.04 of Appendix A to the zoning code ordinance of the Code of the City of Douglasville to impose restrictions on special land uses in the IH Heavy Industrial District, to amend section 5.06.02 to provide additional standards for considerations of special land use permits, and to amend table 2-1 of section 2.05 of said ordinance to revise permitted and special uses for certain principal uses, and to omit certain uses from that chart, and to reword the title for Article 3, Division 2, and to assign section 3.61 to that division. Having read the alternative item 22-18-48, we take no action on this item tonight.
Thank you. I have a motion to take no action. So it's not a motion, so we're just not going to take any action.
Yes.
So we'll move on to the next item, item E.
Item E, 22-1849, consider a request for a revised approval for the view at Cedar Mountain for the purpose of adjusting boundary lines for lots 5 and 6 for .78 acres at 7475 and 7477 Sydney Court in land lot 223, District 2, Section 5, parcels 178 and 179. Application by Aaron McCullough of Hughes Ray Company Incorporated. Is there a representative for this application present with us tonight? I understand that the item was for the redrawing of 2 lots, which would make no difference as to the yield in the development. Basically, it would take one flagged lot, it would create, and another lot, it would create 2 relatively equal lots in that same development. And our staff has said that they felt as though it was a better scenario and a better situation. Nothing else changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I make a motion that we approve item 22-1849.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve item 22-18-49. Is there any further discussion from council members? Thank you. Not seeing any. All those in favor of approval item 22-18-49, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Items 22-18-49 is approved.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all we have tonight.
Point of order, just was wondering, it didn't come up to vote on that.
The system is bogged down and it hasn't caught up to us, so we're going to slow it down just for a second.
Our motions and backwards. Withdrawn. Give it a couple more minutes and then we'll move on and do it old school by raising up the hand. And
We're just going to
promoting
take the
voice.
notes by hand.
Pardon me? Okay.
For that most recent one, do you already get that, or do you need us to?
For item E, did you get everything that you needed, Madam City Clerk? Okay. So it's been properly moved in second. We'll have to, the chair made the motion and the Mayor Pro
I
Tem
didn't. Yeah.
did the second. Okay, so we'll vote again so that City Clerk can see. You want us to raise our hands? Okay, all of those in favor of approving item 22-18-49, please raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed? Same sign. Raise your hand. We don't have any opposition, so it's been unanimously approved to approve item 22-18-49.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all we have under planning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to item 10, Parks and Recreation Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Chris Watts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one item tonight. Item 23-18-05, to authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with John Pearson to provide security services at city parks for a 12-month period beginning July 1st, 2018. I'd like to make a motion that we approve item 23-18-05.
Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second? Thank you. It's been properly moved and second to approve item 23-18-05. Is there any further discussion as relates to this item? I know on last Thursday at the work session, I brought up the comments or some of the direction that we were thinking about last year during budget time with the police department, but we were informed that we'll just move forward with Mr. Pearson, and we're confident that he will do a great job as he's done in the past, and the response times are very quick if there is an incident with the police department going to the parks. So I feel comfortable in approving Mr. Pearson for another year. Or any other comments besides my own? Okay. All those in favor of approving item 23-18-05, please raise your hand. Thank you. Those in opposition, please raise your hands as well. We don't have any opposition. So item 23-18-05 has been unanimously approved.
That's all we had tonight under Parks and Recreation, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Finance Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Mark Adams.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under finance.
Thank you so much, sir. Information Technology, that's chaired by Councilmember Miller T.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on to Maintenance and Sanitation Committee. The Vice Chair is Councilmember Mark Adams.
We have one item tonight, Madam Mayor. Item 26-18-11, authorize the Maintenance and Sanitation Department to advertise a request for qualifications to construct the new maintenance and sanitation facility with qualified firms to submit competitive bids for construction after qualification. We've had discussion tonight under this item at length in our committee's meeting. We had a presentation by AECom who are working with us on that, and I feel very confident in their work. So I'll make a motion to approve 26-18-11.
Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second to approve?
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly motioned and approved by the chair, Vice Chair, and Miller T. as a second. Thank you. Any further discussion as it relates to this item? We're very excited for Mr. Gregg and all the people in maintenance and sanitation for a new facility. Exciting times. All of those in favor of approving this item, please raise your hands. Opposition, any of those opposed? Same sign, please. We don't have any opposition. So item unanimously approved, item 26-18-11.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all we have under maintenance and sanitation tonight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chairman. We'll move on to Transportation Committee. Coach, I'm going to ask you to cover that committee. You're a committee member.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no business tonight under Transportation.
Thank you so much, Councilman Watts. Personnel Organization Committee, that's chaired by Mayor Pro Tem Richard Siegel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business at this time, but there will be a staff report at the end of the meeting.
All righty. Thank you so much, sir. Ordinance and Intergovernmental Committee, I'll ask the Mayor Pro Tem to please cover that as well.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No business tonight.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to item 17, Education and Training Committee. That's chaired by Councilmember Samuel Davis.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Communications Committee, also chaired by Councilman Samuel Davis.
No business tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you again.
You're welcome. Other business. Is there any other business to come before council tonight from council members? Thank you. I don't see any. It goes by pretty quickly during voting meeting. We'll move on to item 20, City Attorney, Mr. Joel Dodson.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Colonel Dodson. Chief Assistant City Attorney, Ms. Susan Littlefield.
No business, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief of Police, I know you have some, Chief. Chief Gary Sparks.
Enjoying this beautiful weather.
Yes, sir. And you're returning from the conference about Facebook. Just tell, you did an excellent report during committee. I'm putting you on the spot. Excellent report during committee meetings about the police department. Can you tell us, you attended a social media conference and how that is related now to public safety. If you can tell us how many views we had, it's just phenomenal.
We approximately have 14,700 viewers on our social media page. Earlier this year, well, last year, we started to really get into the social media and ensuring that our citizens will know what we are doing, how we are serving them,
Yes, sir.
and how we are one with our community. And we ask that the city residents and everybody in the county look at our Facebook page, see what we're doing. We're doing some great things with the police department and the sheriff's department,
Yes,
making
sir.
our community become one. No us against them, no people against the police officer, but we're one, making sure that our citizens are safe in our city and county.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to put you on the spot. And then the DCOPS program, you all went to Slater Mill, the last subdivision.
Yes, we're at the Slater Mill and had a great time out there. Matter of fact, we'll be over on Warren Drive Thursday from 7 to 8. So come out and meet with us on Warren Drive. We're gonna
In the
walk-
PM or in the morning?
You know it's gonna be in the PM.
I know that's right. It's 7 PM, 7 to 8.
7 p.m. We'll be out there. We're going to just engage the community there and just let people know that we care, we love them, that they are important
Yes,
to
sir.
to the success of our city. Everybody is. So we're going to be encouraging the people over in that section of the city. And we'll be coming around to other sections of the city as well.
Thank you so much, Chief. We appreciate everything that you do in public safety, and we know it's very important to us, and the council prioritizes as a citizen's request for public safety. We just presented in our budget hearings tonight more support for budget, compensation, equipment, all of that. So we're very proud to support the police department. Thank you so much, Chief. We'll move on to City Manager, Ms. Marsha Hampton.
Only thing I have to add, Mayor, is just a reminder to you all, as it was stated in your budget hearings earlier this evening, your budget adoption is set for June the 16th. So they will be on your legislative meeting for the 14th, and the official vote will happen on the 16th. Sorry, 18th. I did write that. Thank you.
I'm
for
trying
that
to tell
correction.
you that Mayor Pro Tem is on it. Thank you so much. We appreciate that, City Manager. Comments from citizens and delegates. Now is the opportunity. We open the floor for any citizen that has sustained through our speedy voting meeting, so much different from the legislative work session, that you're able to come to the podium and make comments. And we'd love to hear from you. Please give us your name and address for the record, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Beth Johnson, 8940 Rose Avenue, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And I'm actually here to donate my time if the 5-minute rule applies under the citizens' comments. We have additional information. We have our attorney here, if that would be okay. I'd like to
Yes,
donate
ma'am.
my time to Mr. Jenkins. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Alan Teal. I reside at 2204 South Flat Rock Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. I'd like to donate my time to Mr. Frank Jenkins.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, I'm Frank Jenkins, and I have the privilege of representing concerned citizens of Douglasville. I've missed a couple of meetings. I had hip replacement surgery. It took me out, but I walked up here tonight, and I'm happy to be here.
Congratulations. Welcome back.
Thank
It's
you.
a blessing.
Thank you. But I'm happy to represent these citizens on the matter, and I think I have some information that's different than you've heard before. We're here to ask the council to agree, when the matter comes before you, to approve a separation of a quarry operation of 5,000 feet from a residential property. I understand there's an alternative proposal up, but we're asking that this council consider 5,000. And let me tell you some of the things that I think may be important. A lawsuit was filed after the matter was heard originally for for the property, Mr. Boyd's property. He was represented by a different counsel. There was a suit that was filed, and I represented especially five citizens of the county, and we asked the court, after this suit had been filed, if we could intervene in the case to protect the citizens' interest. And of course, the city was defending against a claim that you wrongfully and unconstitutionally failed to approve the special use permit. We had to prove to the judge that we had a right to be heard and that we had been damaged by the operation of the quarry that exists, the Vulcan quarry, and that the prospect of being damaged by the new quarry was even greater because it's closer. So we submitted and filed a motion with the court. And that motion included affidavits from several people who were within 5,000 feet of the proposed rock quarry. And that included Mr. Curtis Shipley. It included Mr. John Martin and Ann Martin, Mr. Lon Bell, Mr. Wayne Groover. And they told the court through the affidavit that we had damage to our property, damage to the foundation. We suffered because of the noise and the blasting and the dust that occurred from the operation of the existing quarry. And the judge heard these, and he approved these citizens to be joined in this lawsuit because it was sufficient for him that the damage was significant and that they had a right to be in the case. So we then filed a motion to dismiss that case on fairly technical grounds, but they'd failed to pursue it properly. And the judge heard that motion, and I think the writing was on the wall that the judge was going to rule in our favor. He had not ruled at the time the hearing was over, but shortly after the hearing, Mr. Boyd's attorney dismissed the case. And I think because they knew where the judge was going. Incidentally, that case has been resurrected again by Mr. Boyd, and we expect that we'll have the same success, that we'll win on that the second time through as we did on the first time through. So the damages have been demonstrated. The damages, in considering, and I know there's been points, where's the expert testimony? How do you know about that particular, those provisions of that ordinance? And by the way, I drew those provisions up. And I am aware, too, that Douglas County has previously adopted an ordinance that has a 4,000-foot separation between a quarry operation and a residential property. So we're asking you to follow suit because certainly Douglas County was concerned about the ill effects of quarry operation on residential property. The damages are caused by a number of things in a quarry operation. You can't contain a quarry operation on the property where it's located. There's silicone dust that gets out. There's noise. There are backup signals. There's traffic, severely increased traffic with dump trucks. And there's blasting. And if you're sitting on a vein of granite and there's blasting, it's going to shock and jar the property. And these people have already suffered from that. A good example is Mr. Wayne Groover, who has a business that is located within 5,000 feet, and the blasting caused him to, because of his unique laser cutting business that he had to expend $89,000 to replace the laser because of the jarring from the blasting operation. And these citizens also testified to the damage to their properties. Now, there was I have a timeline. I'm not sure this got passed out to you or not, but there was some thought that this was being proposed, this ordinance was proposed while there was a lawsuit ongoing. The lawsuit that I mentioned to you that was dismissed by Mr. Boyd was dismissed on April the 19th of last year. I drafted that ordinance that was submitted, and it was submitted in December the 14th. And on December the 18th, this council voted unanimously to adopt a moratorium to consider these particular ordinance provisions. And the lawsuit that was filed by Mr. Boyd was not filed until April the 19th, so it was 4 months after this had been submitted to the city. And then the subsequent lawsuit was filed on May the 9th, 5 months later. So at the time this ordinance was submitted to this council or this city for consideration was months ahead of any lawsuit that was being filed. So it's not in response to a particular lawsuit. In fact, I thought the matter was over once they dismissed the lawsuit, but not so. Now, This,
Mr. Jenkins, you're giving us this food for thought, correct?
Yes,
Because we
ma'am.
know we're not taking any action on those items, so just,
yes, ma'am, I understand that.
okay.
And that's a good way to put it, Mayor, that it's food for thought, and I hope it will be food for thought. In this case, one person will benefit by rejecting this particular ordinance, whereas a multitude of citizens, including the citizens you heard from Hamrick Lake subdivision who are adjacent to the Vulcan quarry, they've described to you the issues they have. So we're looking, if you ultimately approve another quarry, there's another quarry that side by side that will affect those citizens who live in Douglasville. One man will benefit from that versus the damages and of the citizens of this city who will suffer a lack of or loss of enjoyment of their property. I will say this, approving this ordinance with that distance separation is not a taking. We've learned that recently from Supreme Court decisions. It's not considered a taking. So that's not the issue. And I think, and I believe, based on how we fared on the first lawsuit, and it was dismissed because the writing was on the wall, I think we'll prevail again if we need to. But we ask you as a council to consider your citizens and to approve these ordinances that will provide separation and protect them from the ill effects of a quarry operation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Attorney Jenkins. Same thing, Mr. Groover, you're just telling us just for...
Wayne Groover, 6904 North Baggett Road, Douglasville, Georgia. I need to clarify one thing. The $89,000 was for 2016. It was for repairs.
Yes, sir.
And that is all for that year. And I'd like to donate the rest of my time to Mr. Curtis Shipley.
Okay, now, Mr. Shipley, we don't want you to give us
Yes, ma'am.
a dissertation about, everything.
Absolutely.
This is new information, and really it's just food for thought because we haven't taken any
I understand.
action on those
Yes,
items,
ma'am.
so.
The only reason that we're doing it in this format, not knowing when it'll be discussed again, how it's going to be discussed,
Okay.
we do have new information that we feel like is crucial to the decision-making process.
Yes, sir. If
And
you can give
so
us, we know your
that's-
name and address, if you can just give it for the record, please, so that
Sure.
we'll have it.
Curtis Shipley, 1122 Doris Road, Douglasville,
Okay.
Georgia.
Thank you,
And
sir.
again, I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. I'm not trying to make y'all's day longer. I just don't know how else to get this crucial information to you, okay?
Okay.
What I wanted to do actually is to try to clarify a little bit, if I could, the qualifications of some of the witnesses that you have heard from. The opposition did make a statement last week that you've never heard an expert witness testify for us. And so, as a matter of fact, they even gave us a definition of expert. If you remember, they said it was a person who has extensive knowledge or ability based on research, experience, or occupation in a particular area. And I think that's a good definition. So as I was thinking about, well, where would I go to hire an expert to testify, I thought about Mr. Ferran, probably close to 60 years experience, living next to a rock quarry. I would imagine there's no detail of what he has experienced that he couldn't express to us. How about Mr. Gerald Van Sant? Again, about 60 years of experience living close to one of these things. Jack Baggett, Mr. and Ms. Martin, Joe Yates, Wayne Groover, Lon Bell, Dr. Sharon Williams. The list goes on, but you get my point. Where could I possibly hire a team of experts that would have more combined experience on the effects, the harmful effects of having a quarry located too close to your home or business? These certainly are expert witnesses. Also, of course, just because someone is a hired expert doesn't necessarily mean that you can trust them. If you recall, there was one expert witness that testified before the council that breathing silica dust was as safe as playing with sand in a kid's sandbox. And of course, based on the data from government sources we've provided you with, I think that we all know now that that statement was proven not to be truthful. Another word with defined for us was fact. And the definition given was a statement consistent with reality or one that can be proven with evidence. In other words, a test is performed to determine the accuracy of the statement. I think that's a good one as well. I'd like to share a fact with you. If you would go to the businesses and the homes that are located up and down Highway 78, say starting at Bright Star Road there, Turner Seed and Feed, go west toward the Hamrick Lake subdivision, you'll see that those folks are inundated on a daily basis with silica dust. Now, how do we prove that? Well, all you got to do is go to any one of these places on a dry day, wipe your finger across any horizontal surface, and the proof will be right there on your finger. Another fact, modern science and testing methods have revealed just how dangerous this dust is. We didn't know 30 years ago how dangerous this stuff was. The World Health Organization, CDC, EPA, OSHA, and the American Cancer Society all agree that sand or silica is harmful or can be deadly when it is crushed, ground, or blasted. The breathing of this dust is known to them to cause silicosis, lung cancer, COPD, other health issues. OSHA has just recently reduced by 50% the amount that an employee can be exposed to. 6 states have already passed their own legislation qualifying how much a citizen should be allowed to breathe. Vermont has the strictest standard. Now listen to this. They reduced the amount that OSHA says is acceptable for a mining employee. They reduced that amount for a resident by 99.75%. That's a pretty significant number, isn't it? One last fact, and I will move on. When it comes to mitigating the harmful effects of one of these types of establishments, distance is our friend. How can we prove that? Well, I don't know where any of you live, and I stand corrected if one of you does experience the things that we've talked about here. But if you don't, if you haven't experienced the noise, the dust, the vibration, and so forth, then that simply means that you live far enough away from the source that it's all dissipated before it gets to you. Now, where's our evidence here? Well, we've heard testimony of houses that are within 2,000 to 4,000 feet that they feel the vibration, they see the dust. So if a house 2 or 3 miles away cannot feel the vibration or see the dust, obviously it becomes the distance involved is the only variable that's there. We also know from research of scientific data that the noise we hear, which is simply a vibration of air molecules, we call sound waves, it's attenuated by distance. We know that. The accepted rate of dissipation is about a 6 dBA reduction for every doubling of the distance. Same thing for the vibration of the blasting. It also dissipates with distance. These are principles of physics that we learned in school. I don't really think we need an expert to tell us that the more distance away from any type of seismic event is good. Nobody wants to be close to an earthquake. You want to be way away from it. Here's what I want to leave you with. If you feel, and I understand you're not taking action tonight, okay, this is, as the mayor said, food for thought. It'll come up at some point. If you feel that we've proven to you that the factors we have discussed will have an adverse effect on the people who are living around only these most heavy industrial uses, only for special land use permits, what do you do with this information? Well, we took a quick look under the Douglasville Code of Ordinances, Section 1.12, Powers and Construction. It says the powers of this city shall be construed liberally in favor of the city. The specific mention or failure to mention these particular powers shall not be construed as limiting in any way the powers of this city. The power shall include, but not limited to, the following, and it goes on to list 41 specific powers. Now, there are several that might apply, but the one that's most germane to the situation when you're considering extending buffers to protect residents is number 11, general health, safety, and welfare. Your powers are to define, regulate, and prohibit any act, practice, conduct, or use of property which is detrimental to health, sanitation, cleanliness, welfare, and safety of the inhabitants of the city, and to provide for the enforcement of such standards. We have now before us, well, I guess we don't, we're not discussing it at this moment, but we can discuss a modern set of standards that would certainly fulfill subsection 11 of your own city's ordinance. I believe as long as you follow your own ordinances, you are in a very strong position, whether with your constituents or in a courtroom, either one. All we're asking for is the same peace, comfort, and safety that you and the other residents that are not close to one of these things, same peace that y'all enjoy. That's not an unreasonable request. So again, trying not to waste your time, but I'm here before you tonight, not because I don't have anything else to do. I'd just rather be here. I'm here as a person who is concerned for the safety of their family and welfare. That's why I'm here. That's the only reason I'm here. I don't know why anyone wouldn't stand up for the safety of their family. And so as I stand here, I'm just pleading with you, with all that I have within me. Help me to protect my family. Help us to protect our families. That's all we're asking. Thank you for your time. I appreciate y'all indulging me this time. I really do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shipley. Any other comments?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Doug Dillard with Percy Freeze and Torgerson, and I represent Mr. Boyd, the property owner, on this. Just a point of clarification, by not taking any action, does that mean this is going to be on the next agenda, or will it be re-advertised and put back on an agenda?
Have to be re-advertised. I don't
Okay.
think our requirements under the ZPA would allow any further action passed tonight without re-advertisement.
Right. Okay.
That's for the first version. The other version, the alternative, hasn't been sent to the zoning board. So
Right.
nothing can happen on it until
But is it going to go to the zoning board, or y'all going to just take no action on it? Is it y'all going to send it back?
I can't speak for what the council may do in the future. They've elected to take no action tonight on either item. But
Right.
on either item now, you will have to have a
Re-advertise.
re-advertise.
That's what I thought, so that's fine.
Mr. Dillard, give us your address. We know it by heart by now, but we just want you to say it.
Somebody told me the other day, said, Mr. Dillard, you ought to open an office down here. I said,
know
I don't know about that. But anyway, I'm Doug Dillard with Percy Freeze and Torgerson. My address is 1230 Peachtree Street, Atlanta 30309, Suite 1200.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to tell you, I've been practicing law for 50 years. I hadn't quite ever experienced what we've been going through down here. And the thing that bothers me is that I feel like Mr. Boyd's rights have been totally and completely ignored. And I think that Mr. Jenkins and his clients have overwhelmed you with the political influence and power that they have at the ballot box, which we don't have. And it's not about trying to destroy their families. It's not about trying to destroy the environment. It's not about trying to unreasonably create an environmental situation that's unacceptable to us all. But what you've got to do is what we've talked about before, and that is create a balance between Mr. Boyd's right to use his property for a lawful purpose as opposed to the public health, safety, and welfare. You can't just choose one side over the other. And we feel like at this point that we've been pretty well ignored. Until tonight, I feel like we've been pretty well ignored. I thought Mr. Dobson gave you a great outline of what you needed to do and develop in approving that development plan. And in my mind, you totally ignored Georgia law in denying that development plan. We've come before you with suggestions of how we could resolve this matter. I would hope in the future, before this matter comes up, that the city would provide some leadership to get us together and see if there's some way we could work this thing out. But if not, this is where we are. Mr. Jenkins is right. We have refiled that lawsuit. Now, I wasn't involved before, but I didn't refile that lawsuit because I thought I was going to get beat. Now, I don't know what previous counsel felt like, but I don't file frivolous lawsuits. We feel like we got a good cause of action. The other thing is that the actions in rejecting the special land, this is the critical, I think this is critical, and I'm going to sit down here shortly. The rejection of the special land use permit by Mr. Boyd, the delay in informing him of the rejection, and the simultaneous passage of a moratorium, immediately followed by an ordinance that virtually eliminates quarries as a permitted use while the moratorium is still in place, in our opinion, is malicious. The rejection and denial of a development land plan that by your own staff satisfied the criteria that you've set for a rock crusher is likewise malicious. The permission and unlawful delegation of your legislative discretion to a group of unidentified, I guess Frank identified them tonight, he helped draw the ordinance, or did draw the ordinance, to redraw the zoning code as it relates to quarries and other uses is likewise unlawful. We think that's an unlawful delegation of your legislative discretion that's given specifically to you as elected officials. The failure to timely respond to our request to produce and state that you'll respond on June the 6th after tonight's meeting obviously set for you not to be required until you met tonight. Now, let me just say this. I appreciate you recognizing the seriousness of this and not taking any action. And I will state on behalf of Mr. Boyd that we will always be available to meet with you and area residents to try to resolve, which is a very serious situation, not just for this community, but also for us. Georgia law states that where there is no discretion, there can be no sovereign immunity for actions taken without authority of law. However, even if discretion does exist, personal liability exists if the actions were taken with malice, and that's McDay versus the City of Atlanta, 204 Georgia Appeals, 621. So what I'm saying is I think you need to be concerned about the action taken by you in refusing to accept the SLUP, the adoption of the moratorium, the denial of the development plan, and the adoption of an ordinance which totally eliminates quarries as permitted in Douglasville are acts which are fraudulent and malicious and could be the basis for claims. Now, not having taken an action on that moratorium, on the ordinance, is helpful and encouraging to us, and we will make ourselves available to help find some resolution. Otherwise, I think you've got some exposure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dillard. Now, I will say, I know I negated to say about debate and questions and answers, but I know your passion, your voice is just passionate. You were not debating and arguing with us, because I know we've talked about that before. But I will respectfully disagree when you said that the council ignored both sides. With the vote, I think it determined it was 4-3. So it wasn't a unanimous vote. So we did take seriously both sides and decided, the council decided what they decided. So that's all I had to say about that. Any other comments from the citizens and delegates? Yes, sir. Please come forward and give your name and address for the record. And as I've said to everyone else that's spoken tonight, as relates to mining and crushing and our ordinances, we are not taking any action on those items. So we're being gracious enough to listen for food for thought, but it's not an agenda item that we really have to listen to, but we'll respect your time, and we appreciate you all coming out, so we'll listen to you tonight.
Thank you.
You have 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
All right, it's Kijana Red, 5982 North Bend Court, Douglasville, in the Hammock Lake subdivision. I'm just hoping that you really take into consideration item 221846, with keeping in that larger buffer zone versus a special, which would actually be, what, 200 to 300 feet. What is it going to take? Is it going to take somebody to either get hurt or somebody's health to be affected?
Address it.
I'm sorry, to
Yes,
be
sir.
affected, to have a larger buffer zone. 200, 300 feet, as we know, dust, even though it's not a quarry, it is supposedly a portable rock crushing facility that is not totally enclosed. All right, you can do some research and take a look at some of these other rock crushing companies down in, I don't know, other places. Those are large machineries, $58,000 on the minimum, but that's a small one, and they still look like some of the rock quarry machinery. So it's not totally portable, it's not totally enclosed, it's not going to keep the dust and keep everything within a safe environment. So it's still going to have some discharge of you know, dust, harmful, and even harmful effects on the besides the community, the environment. So that's just environmental side. But on a personal note, we live within, what, 5,000 feet of the existing quarry, which actually still does produce dust and things that do affect our community. So that 200 to 300 for some, let's say if there's any communities that's closer to than what we are, they're going to be affected. So not just by, I'm not only thinking about my community, I'm thinking about other places as well. So, you know, I think the ordinance says, what, 3,000 feet, if I'm not mistaken. That I still feel is too short of a distance. So, I mean, we understand it may be your land, but please, let's think about the environmental effects and the effects that it has on personnel. So if you can just, you know, just take that into thought or consideration, that'd be grateful.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other comments from citizens and delegates? Comments from council members? Councilmember Miller.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
After listening to the arguments tonight, I just wanted to make a comment about something. I think that there's a new word to introduce here, was malicious. And it would strike me as for a decision to be malicious, there has to be some personal involvement or personal gain or loss based on a decision that council members had to make. As far as I know, I don't know that any of the members of council have anything to personally gain or lose. I'm not sure if anybody even lives within the 5,000 feet of this quarry. So there's no personal issue on that regard. And there's certainly nothing, I don't know that anybody has anything personally against Mr. Boyd. Their council has recommended that we all sit down and try to deal with this, you know, outside of court. But I'm not sure that threatening personal liability lawsuits against the council members is a helpful start to that gambit. If you wish to get people on your side and talk, I think that's not exactly the way to go. I actually would appreciate if our council would comment on that, if you feel comfortable or if it's applicable.
Well, let me preface these remarks by pointing out that Mr. Dillard and Mr. Jenkins and I have known each other for many years, and I consider us all old friends in the legal profession. In this case, Mr. Boyd has hired one of the best zoning attorneys in Georgia, and the citizens have hired Mr. Jenkins, who's also one of the best zoning attorneys in Georgia, probably the two best I know. You sadly are stuck with me.
You're one of the best as well, Mr. Dawson.
Mr. Dillard wasn't trying to intimidate you or scare you. The case law he points out has some basis in fact, but I think we need to stop getting caught up in the weeds. I've been city attorney for a long time, and for over half that time, there's been litigation involving this piece of property. The city's been sued 3 different times over this. The ordinance you have in place now has been in effect in large, almost totally intact for 20-odd years. So 3 different times, a litigant has been unable to persuade a judge that the city improperly exercised its discretion. At the last hearing, the one that Mr. Dillard has filed a revival action on, you probably had the best presentation of the evidence of both sides of any of the 3 previous hearings. The ultimate question is going to come down at some point is, has the council lawfully exercised its discretion as set forth in its ordinance? Now, it's my belief that the city was within its rights. I think Mr. Jenkins may share that belief. Mr. Dillard does not share that belief. Right now, you have not only that revival action that he's filed, renewal action, you've got a couple of other suits pending over what I deem peripheral issues, to be honest with you. I don't know. I certainly share Mr. Dillard's hope that something could be worked out, but I don't know that anything can. I think some efforts were made. Of course, you weren't on the council then in the last lawsuit to try to work something out. And I don't know what can be worked out, to be honest with you. Nothing may be able to be worked out. But in any event, that's sort of the legal landscape as I see it. If this thing has to be litigated, I hope the parties can get together and come up with a reasonable litigation schedule. I don't know when or if the council will take action. There are certainly some issues with the ordinance as proposed that need to be researched a little further. But in any event, if you're going to deal with changing the ordinance, we need to look at that carefully. That would have an effect on pending litigation and probably sponsor some more litigation. And as y'all know, litigation costs money. So I don't really have anything else to say that's in my mind germane. If you have a specific question, I'll try to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Dodson. I think you covered most of what I was hoping you would. I just, the only final thought I had was just, again, regarding, what everybody up here, I think is absolutely dedicated to what they do and trying to find solutions that are in the best interest of the city. And I think it's a terrible day for democracy if we have to have items such as this hanging over our head if we're going to make proper decisions and try to be fair toward people. That's not a good way to go about it. So I would agree, though. I hope that maybe there is a way that we can find a solution to this, that all parties will come to an agreement. I think that's what most people would want in this case, but, let's try to be positive as we move forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. And thank you, Mr. Dodson. You're one of the best as well. Hope you'd heard that. It's very true. Any other comments from council members or citizens? We have one other citizen. And a reminder, so no one will think I'm picking on them. I've said this is just food for thought. We are not taking any action on the items that you probably are here for,
Certainly.
talking about mining or portable rock crushing. So we will listen because we appreciate your time and you taking the time out to come to the council tonight. Yes, sir. Please give us your name and address.
My name is Ralph Roper, 6826 Cedar Mountain Road, Douglasville, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
In the 1930s in West Virginia, a tunnel project called the Hawk's Nest Tunnel. An estimated 500 to 1,000 workers died from silicosis caused by breathing sand particles. Most of these are poor people trying to make a living during the Great Depression. The WHO estimates that thousands die each year from silicosis. The World Health Report from 2002 estimates 386,000 deaths from silicosis and COPD, and nearly a staggering 6.6 million disability-adjusted life years. The WHO lists reasons things are not getting done to address these damages. Number 1, insufficient political will. Number 2, insufficient access to knowledge and the dangers posed. Number 3, legislative shortcomings and difficulties in enforcement. There were specific comments on some of these obstacles. Many of the decision makers at different levels of government do not duly appreciate the magnitude of the problem. The quarry industry has been fighting stronger regulations for decades. There are warnings on some quarry tickets and sandbags about the dangers of silica being harmful and even deadly is a well-established scientific fact. Their expert told this council wasn't harmful at all, a question you posed to him, Madam Mayor. Just a few more facts. The quarry contingent has argued that quarries aren't harmful at all. They pose no risk to people or property and need no further setbacks. They present those arguments as fact. A quarry blast in the Chicago suburbs in 2014 registered 3.7 on the Richter scale. They thought it might have been an earthquake, but after research by the U.S. Geological Survey, they determined it was caused by a quarry blast from a local quarry. A part of Route 66, Joliet Road, was damaged and closed. The state of Illinois sued Vulcan Materials and won a judgment for $40 million. From the time Joliet Road is closed to the time it will reopen, 30 years will have elapsed. Here are just a few headlines from across the country. Quarry blast damages hose, NBC 6, South Florida. Augusta Quarry's neighbors attribute house damage to blasting, Central Maine. Homeowners blame structural damage to quarry, WSOTV, Alabama. Grandview neighborhood residents said blasting in a quarry pit adjacent to their neighborhood has made it impossible to sell their homes. Neighbors say quarry blasting is jamming their property. Augusta quarry pit neighbors 2,000 feet away said on May 2nd a blast opened a 1/4-inch gap between his floor joist and his main support beam. Blasting suspended at Jefferson Quarry after nearby homes damaged by debris, flying rocks. The same thing happened to homes in the Lithia Quarry in the early operations in the 1970s and early 80s. You have affidavits and personal testimony, just like these news clippings from all over the country saying they suffered the same consequences. To say a quarry poses no risk to one's property or health is just totally unfactual. And all these damages I just read to y'all came from one quarry. Think about the cumulative effect from 2 quarries. You know, it'd just be devastating what they do to this community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so we will, okay.
Madam Mayor, council members, John Ferran. I live at 6601 Cedar Mountain Road, Douglasville, Georgia. I just wanted to make an impassionate plea that we, as the citizens of this community, really need an updated planning and zoning ordinance that would, in effect, not make Douglasville City a magnet for everybody that's got money to come and put a quarry. Any quarry. I'm not talking about the current issue in front of us. You can put a quarry on any place you throw a rock between Stone Mountain and almost the Alabama line. And if our zoning and ordinance do not catch up with the 21st century, we're going to continue to fight this over and over and over. And if we've talked about litigation, there'll be litigation from now for years and years to come. We have to bring our ordinances up to the current standards that most cities are in the metro Atlanta area. I can't speak to why ours have not been updated for 20-something years. That's beyond me. But Douglas County has done it. Almost every city in the metro area has done it. And we have granite everywhere in this area. I mean, everywhere. When you go in MARTA and you go down in the train station, they went through solid rock down there to put the rails through. It's the same way under my property. It's the same way under all of our properties. Yours might be a little bit deeper, but it's there. I'll guarantee you it's there. But consider that for the future, and not just this pending litigation. This pending litigation is just a blip in time. It's not going to fix anything. We need to fix it for the future. That's what we need to fix. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Brand. Okay, I will close public comments from citizens and delegates. This was a Pat. All right.
Yeah, I'm allowed to speak.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jack Baggett. I own the property out there. We got 6 buildings, and on my left is a rock quarry and a garbage dump next to it. Now they want to put another rock quarry on the other side, sandwich me in. We already have cracked foundations. We already have parking lots cracked, falling in.
Mm-hmm.
And they telling me another rock quarry won't hurt my property. It'd be like telling the little kitty the big fat elephant won't hurt him if he steps on him. I do not. I have 2 empty buildings out there. Out the road, I've got some more buildings, cracked foundation. I am familiar with explosive. I've served in the Korean War in the Mine Division. When you blast, you alter the underground, and it shakes the foundation and destroys the property and downgrade it. It's sad that the city did not need a rock quarry. The city is built over an underground lake. The pioneers had to have water. They had to have wells. The city do not need a rock quarry anywhere in the city of Douglasville. We got a good city. We wouldn't want to be called Quarry City. And it's sad that they want to put another rock quarry down my throat. I've been out there on my property. Abercrombie's transmissions released to him. The pipes are busted. The ground is altered. Why do we have to listen to this? I am not believing that we would consider another. The city don't need a rock quarry in the city because it's for commercial use, not for blasting.
All right.
And I appreciate y'all taking this in consideration, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baggett. We're not going to vote on the quarry tonight. Okay. So that's all we will. Any other topic? We have citizens' comments and delegates who would like to speak. Okay. So we'll move on to staff reports. We have a staff report, which is the introduction of the City of Douglasville's 2018 interns. This is our inaugural program. So our Personnel and Organization Committee Chair, Councilmember Richard Siegel, Mayor Pro Tem. We need a recess for a couple of minutes. Okay, we'll let the chamber clear. I apologize, Ms. Austin. Okay, we will move on to item 25. It's a staff report and introduction of the City of Douglasville's 2018 interns. And we have our Human Resource Director, Ms. Tia Austin Bean, that will introduce our interns to us.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. Good evening. Tia Austin Bean, 6695 Church Street. We are excited tonight, Mayor and Council. I just have to say that. Our interns have sat through our meeting tonight, and we appreciate that. But we are excited for this evening to make these introductions to you. As you all are aware, last winter you approved us to have a summer internship program for 2018. And since that time of the approval, we have vetted this program. City staff has reached out to Georgia colleges, universities, and technical institutions for their interest in partnering with the City of Douglasville for 2018. We have done that. We had over 20 interns to submit applications to the Human Resources Department. We interviewed about half of those, and tonight we're presenting to you the 6 that stood out, whether it was their interview, whether it was their grades, and just their ambition to be a part of the City of Douglasville's team. So without further ado, I would like to bring up Ms. Kaylin Caruth, if she would please come up. And I would like for her to introduce herself and tell you what school she attends and her majors, and any questions that you all may have of her, please ask. Kaylin?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and
Kaylin.
Council. Thank you for having the internship program.
My name is Kaylin Cruth, 6695 Church Street, and I'm currently a marketing and management double major at the University of West Georgia. And for the summer, I have the opportunity to be the community development intern. So,
And you're from Douglasville?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. I met them earlier. I'm trying not to give away everything. Good to have you, Kayla. Any questions from the council members? Last name, crew, are you, how long did you?
I just want to thank you for not mentioning the quarry.
No problem.
I'd like to say thank you for being involved and wanting to be involved locally in your community. I attended West Georgia for 3 years, many moons ago, and we're proud to have you here. Thank you for your interest. Good luck.
Thank you, Kaylin. What high school did you go to?
I went to Grace Christian Academy in Hiram, Georgia.
Mm-hmm. You're from Douglasville. Okay, thank you, Kaylin. You're welcome.
Next up, Mayor and Council, we have Mr. Robert Clark. If Mr. Robert Clark will come to the podium and introduce himself and his school, and any questions that you may have of Mr. Clark.
Community director.
And everyone,
Good
and
evening.
I thank y'all for having me. My name is Robert Clark, 6695 Douglasville, Georgia. My major is economics. I currently attend the University of West Georgia.
Which department are you going to be
And my
in?
minor is finance, and I will be in the finance
And
department.
you'll be in
I'm sorry.
finance, helping Ms. Karen Callan. Did you see that budget presentation tonight? That was good, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am. The income statement, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. And you're a junior, a rising junior, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions from council members?
It's nice to see so many University of West Georgia students.
I know,
It's a
that's
great
where Jenna-
school, and I'm
Keep
not
it
saying
local.
that just
Keep
because my
it
wife is
local.
dean.
And his wife is at West Georgia, and his daughter. Yeah.
I'm not saying that just because she's dean. It's a great school.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Clark.
you being here. Good luck to you.
Next up, we have Miss Ariel Combs. I would like to invite her to the podium.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name's
Good
Ariel
evening.
Combs, 6695 Church Street. I attend Kennesaw State University. I'm graduating in July, and I'm with the I'm working with the communications department.
And where are you from?
Douglasville.
I knew you were from Douglasville. What high school?
Douglas County High School.
Douglas
right down the
County
street.
High, the Tigers.
So we're 3 for 3, Madam Mayor, so far.
I know
3
it.
for 3, love it.
Kennesaw.
Congratulations. Would you tell me again your course of study and where?
Oh yeah, I Kennesaw State, and I majored in marketing and a minor in Spanish.
Okay, thank you.
And which
Good luck to
department are
you.
you going to be working in?
Communications.
Communications. Okay, over there with Jason. Very good. Any questions from council members? Kennesaw, good school. An owl.
Yeah.
How's an owl looking like?
Something like that. Yeah.
Bean? Yeah. Thank you.
Next, I would like to ask Mr. Andrew Daffron to approach the podium, please.
Andrew's a neighbor. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Daffron of 6695 Church Street. I am an upcoming senior as well at the University of West Georgia. My major is political science, and I will be working with the Parks and Rec Department.
And you from Carrollton or Paulding?
I'm from Paulding.
You're from
Yes, ma'am.
Paulding. Mhm. And you want to go get into politics. Are you sure? Did you see all this tonight? Yes, sir. Andrew is.
And you can go to law school with a political science degree. You don't have to get into politics, right?
Right.
He wants to get into politics.
Because we had some attorneys out there that are getting paid quite a bit, a lot more than our attorneys are getting paid.
Yeah, I first got my interest.
Any questions?
My interest in politics right before the last election, presidential election.
Yes, sir. Any questions for Andrew? Any other?
Municipal elections are much more important and much more fun. Just saying.
And you're at the University of West Georgia as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
And who are they? Is it the Bears or the Wolves?
We're the Wolves.
The Wolves. That's what I thought. Just checking.
Blue and white.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dion Griffin, if he would come to the podium at this time.
Augusta.
Madam Mayor, City Council, thanks for having me. 6695, I'm Deion Griffin, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. And I am a double major in marketing and management, getting a human resource certificate, and I will be interning with the human resource department.
Community services. And you're from Augusta, correct?
Yes, ma'am, human resource.
So
Yes,
it's
ma'am,
more than
Augusta.
golf, huh? It's more than golf in Augusta.
Yeah, it's more than golf. We have a nice mall. It's kind of nicer than Douglasville, sorry.
Have you seen West Pine? Did you go by the golf course?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you have to go by there.
Yeah, we have a lot of similarities, so.
Yeah, and you have you're the hub for cyber communications.
Oh, yeah,
in
we're getting a
Augusta.
cybersecurity center down there. Yeah, I think it's this year, actually, or either next year.
So, Mr. Griffin, what is your major again? Tell me.
Marketing and management. I'm
Marketing
a double
and
major.
management, and you're a rising senior.
Senior, correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Any other comments or questions for Mr. Griffin? Mr.
Which
Dion?
high school did you graduate from, Mr. Griffin, in Augusta?
Warren County High.
Warren County High? Oh, just checking.
Her husband's
My husband's from
He's
Augusta.
from Augusta, her husband.
Oh, okay.
And he works in municipal government as well, in Cartersville, engineer.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
He's heard of that one. Okay, thank you, Mr. Dion.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Welcome.
Sir.
And last but not least, Mr. Cedric Haney, if he will come up and introduce himself to the mayor and council.
Someone's going to really like the school that you are attending. We're not going to say anything, but
Thank you guys for having me. My name is Cedric Haney, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. I'm a rising senior at UGA, double majoring in marketing and management, and I'll be working with the administration department.
you hear that, Councilman Adams?
I was going to ask how Ms. Alston being decided who went first and who went last. Obviously, it was not in the order of the school that you're attending. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Good job. I'm glad you're here. Pardon? It was alphabetical?
Alphabetical.
Okay. And you're from where, sir?
Atlanta,
You're from Atlanta. Where did you attend high school?
Westlake High School,
Okay. Congratulations. Thank you. And who will you be working with?
administration department.
Just as long as there's no LSU in it. It's all right with me.
Oh, he said no. Thank you, Mr. Haney. Any
All right,
other
thank you, guys.
comments?
Watch out for
Mr.
Aaron Sarowitz, because he could be a bad influence.
Oh, no, Aaron's a great guy. Michigan, that's all the way across the, Ohio State, Michigan. We're not going to talk about that. Okay. Any other comments? Welcome.
All right, thank you.
Welcome, Cedric. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing us to make those introductions. As I said, we are excited about their 8 weeks here with us. The interns will come before you again in July with a report on what they have learned in their respective departments. They'll make a presentation to you at the council meeting on Monday, July 16th. So if you have any questions for myself, again, we're excited. This is our pilot program, and I told our young interns that they will set the standard.
That's right.
And so they will be the first, and we'd like to have them back again next year so that the new interns for 2019 will have a chance to talk with them and see how it was to be the first internship class here at the city of Douglasville. So, and if you all don't mind, we would like the interns to be able to take a picture with the mayor and council.
Certainly. Thank you, Ms. Austin Bean. I really am so excited. This is one of my initiatives. Thank you for allowing it to come true.
Thank you
Appreciate
all
it.
for
And Council,
approving the
please come
program.
around and take a picture with the interns.
smiles, everybody. Perfect.
May want to lighten it up.
Okay.
Okay. It's good though.
Okay, there was a staff report, and is there any other business to come before council tonight? Not seeing anything, this meeting is adjourned.